Hello, this is Ms. DB. In this video we are going to learn to solve compound inequalities and how to write the answers to compound inequalities. So a compound inequality is when you put two inequalities together. And you do that with either the word or, like in this example A here, or the word and. And an and problem is often written as one compound inequality without the word and. Or it can be written as two separate ones like in here. So here's how you do these problems. There'll be two different methods depending on whether it's an or an and. An or one, you will do the two parts. You can do them separately or you can do them on the same line. An or compound inequality almost always has two separate parts on the number line with the lines pointing in opposite directions. If it is an and compound inequality, which like I said often is written as one combined inequality, then you will end up with only the part where the two inequalities would overlap. So you'll have your endpoint mark and a line in between them. That's because if you graph the two separate parts, the first one is -1 is less than or equal to x, which is the same as x is greater than or equal to -1. If you graph that, you have a solid dot at -1, an arrow to the right, and then you graph the second part, which is x is less than 3. For and, it means it has to be true for both of them. So it's only the part where that would overlap. So when you graph this, you won't have any arrows. You'll just have your two endpoints and the line in between them filled in. All right, in numbers 1 through 4, the number line is marked with the solution to the compound inequalities, and you need to figure out what is this showing? What are the inequalities that this shows? So number 1, I'll do 1 and 2. Number 1, because there's two endpoints and the line in between them is completed, filled in, then I know that this is an and type. So and combines two inequalities, and these are the inequalities. So the first one, it looks like they put a solid dot at -40 and then they started going to the right. So that would represent that x is greater than or equal to, because it's a solid dot, it's filled in, and it would be -40. And then use the word and then it's also combining an open circle at 60 and an arrow to the left. So that represents x is less than 60. Now you need to put these together into one inequality because ands can be combined. So to combine them, the x goes in the middle, the two endpoints, the lower endpoint is on the left and the upper endpoint is on the right. And the easiest one to fill in is this one, because x less than 60, that's right here. You just need the less than sign. It matches exactly. But this one is flip-flopped. Instead of x greater than or equal to -40, we need the x on the other side. So the other side, x is greater than or equal to -40, is the same as -40 is less than or equal to x. These are equivalent expressions. So now I can see that for this, it needs to be written like this, so I need the less than or equal. So when it's all said and done, the answer for number 1 is -40 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 60. So in other words, x, the number, is between -40, and it could include -40, and 60. So that's an and one. The or ones are a little easier. You just have to figure out both parts and put or in between them. So in number 2, this first part of the graph on the left side is showing x is less than -2. Then you put your or, and on the other side, this is showing over here, this is showing x is greater than or equal, because it's a solid dot, 5. That's it for number 2. So the ors are a little bit easier to write.